don't worry. Anything you don't want Joelle to be in that you'll say, don't worry. I will cut it. But
I don't give a shit. What are they going to do to me now?
Welcome to hell.
Hello and welcome back to Hell Week, the podcast where we discuss and celebrate all things children's theater. I'm Jacob Kaplan.
And I'm Jake Arlow. And today we have a thrilling delight of a show, of a guest. And, okay, this guest, you may know them from playing Taylor McKessie in High School Musical. Or for singing Bless the Lord in Godspell. That's a great song. Or in an illegal, unofficial concert version of Next to Normal for playing Diana Goodman. You may also know this guest for some work in a play, not a musical, as Miss Layton in Once in a Lifetime, and as Ira in an original musical to which this guest contributed a song or two, but that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss this guest as Fraulein Cost in, you guessed it, Cabaret. We have today for you Joelle Wellington. Joelle, woo! Welcome to the show.
Woo!
I have some follow-up questions based on your list. Can you tell us a little bit more about the illegal, unofficial concert version of Next to Normal?
Word. Okay. So, at my school often, when you became a senior, you no longer wanted to, go to class. So we would do basically these, they'd be like, okay, you can do, a study senior thesis thing. And my grade had a weirdly high percentage of theater kids. We could tell. Yeah. In Cabaret, a absurd amount were seniors. And so many of them were like, oh, I'm just gonna do a musical. But we were students, but we couldn't pay for the rights. And the theater department was like, no, we're not paying
I don't think the
either.
rights were available either.
I don't think so either, 2016. But yeah, so I had a classmate who was like, Joelle, you have this weird raspy voice. You want to play the 45-year-old mom in Next to Normal? And I was like, I guess.
You were like, yes, okay.
God does that guy know how to pitch.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a...
Yeah,
right?
you have a weird raspy voice. What a compliment. Okay, so since obviously this is, a podcast about not just the theater, but the schools themselves, I'm excited that your school seems to have been a private school. I don't think a public school could have done Cabaret. Could you talk a little bit more about the musical theater environment at your high school?
Yeah. So I went to Packer Collegiate. We had a relic who was in the theater department for some 20 years until I love her to this day. I still talk to her, Pressman, Debbie. And so she did when I remember coming up in middle school and she was doing stuff like Anything Goes. She had them learn a 7-minute tap number. She was really on it. And then I think I became a freshman and these older students complained about her and we're like, oh, she's not casting us. Oh, her expectations are too high. And so she stops directing the shows while she kept heading up the theater department. And after that, we had a rotation of different directors, which is why the choices in musical are so vast. High School Musical one year, and then you get Cabaret. So we had... It just didn't make sense. But by my senior year, they had found a real director named Ali Bogue from London. They brought him over, his husband, who sang in the New York Opera.
We love
and he just came here and he was like, "We're gonna do Once in a Lifetime." We had never done a real play.
Okay. I don't know anything about that play. Yeah.
Me neither. All I know is, it was insane. And then he was like, "Oh, and we're doing Cabaret." we had been pitching, of course, Rent.
Yeah.
As also
of course.
The students do.
Yeah.
And he was like, you are all so unserious. You're not serious people. We're doing Cabaret. And so...
Yeah.
That's so funny that Cabaret is the consolation show.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you can't do Rent, but let's do Cabaret instead. Like, both shows that I think should not be put on in high schools. But
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you heard you were doing Cabaret, had most of the students like seen the movie, or was it like, oh, we all have to like do some research, find out what's going on here?
So most students had to do research. My dad was an actor when I was growing up. He did a lot of off-Broadway stuff, and my parents have always been very like, frou-frou, it's art kind of people.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I actually saw the 1997 production when I was about 4 or 5. They took me and they sat me down and they were like, this is theater.
How old are you? The 1997?
I was 4 or 5 when I saw it. I was born in 97.
No, so okay, so it was like a few years after 90. I was
a few years.
I was like, you saw the 97 production at birth.
So, yeah, I saw that production with Sam Mendes, and they were when I told them, my parents were like, "Oh, that's gonna be so great," and all the other parents were like, "What the fuck?"
I feel like that's such a like I would think, because the audience in the show, and we'll talk about this, but the parents were like very receptive,
loving it
to this. So it feels like a very, especially how you're describing your parents, like a very like Brooklyn, like chic, like, oh, our kids are doing Cabaret type vibe.
Yeah, but there's a lot of behind the scenes like menacing things that happened leading up to this. It was like,
well then let's get into that. Let's please, what happened?
So, we can start at the audition process, because it started early.
Start from the beginning,
This is also the first time, he told us, this is the first time that we were told that we had to prepare songs, not from the show. They were like, come in with audition songs.
Sure.
Of course, we had never done that. I became the unofficial, like, score broker, because in high school, I collected musical scores, like books.
It's such a classic Joelle thing to have done.
Random. And I remember the kid who played the MC, who is to this day one of my best friends, saying "Magic to Do."
Oh, of course. I mean, that's like, if you're gonna audition for the MC, like, yeah.
I sang "Anything Goes," but the Patti LuPone version. Because it was in B flat major, and I was like, I like Sutton Foster's. So, and I remember like we came in, and we auditioned, and he was like, okay. You could tell immediately he had a very clear view of who he wanted where. He had come in already being like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. And you could tell that because he would ask us, before we even read sides, he would be like, how old are you? And
that's a crazy question
like
in high school.
18, like younger, like
how old are you? Also, the answer is between 14 and 18. Like what other answer is there?
So it's so small. But he was very quick. He'd be like, how old are you? And I remember being like, I'm 18. He was like, okay, that's good. And then he'd be like, come read for Fraulein Cost. And that's how he did it. And so
was he like, you can't be under? Did he say like, okay, I can't have anyone under 18 playing like a sex worker? Like, what was his thought behind that?
I think it was genuinely, he was like, anyone who is being put in like a very suggestive situation, cannot be a child, like younger than 18. So
then why do Cabaret? Oh my god, okay.
He really, really wanted, I don't know, it was his first year. He wanted a big bang, a splash.
Yeah.
I feel like as a counter, though, to his point, you can't put a kid in a suggestive... I would counter with the child Hitler Youth Nazi boy, who is one of my favorite people in this cast, who you guys have the most, like, we are friends hug. Like,
it's so funny to me for the director to be like, I can't put kids in a suggestive situation. It's like, then why do Cabaret? That's what you've chosen to do by choosing to do Cabaret, is put children in sexual suggestive situations. That's so, like, what? Okay, so you get to the audition. He already has ideas for who he wants to play who. Now let's go to the cast list. So you already have an idea that you're going to be Fraulein Cost, it seems.
No.
Okay.
So he had me and the girl who was playing who ended up playing Sally Bowles, sing Maybe This Time.
Ooh, okay.
In a separate room. Like, he was like, come here. And we did it with the musical director, the choreographer, and him. And we sang it. And then he was like, Joelle, come read for Sally Bowles. He had only ever had one kid read for Cliff. I don't know, the man who doesn't matter in the show.
Cliff doesn't sing. He's just a board for other people to put ideas on. What?
Yeah. I guess we'll get
into what Jacob's
He does
thoughts.
sing once.
Yeah.
He does sing, yeah. He shouldn't sing, but that's
yeah.
Yeah, so he only had him read for Cliff.
Okay.
And he was like, okay, read sides. And I remember this so vividly because that night, after the auditions, the cast list came out. And I was like, why am I not Sally Bowles when the girl in her audition had flopped?
Oh, no.
Like, flopped. She was ill that day.
Was she ill during the actual performance, too? Because there was...
She was always sick. It's like... But I was like, whoa. And I remember getting phone calls. I remember coming in the next day and going to the head of the theater department. And I was like, something's not clicking. What's going on? And she was like, I think he had ideas coming in. We had a very long conversation where I had to have a talk with him, too. Where I was like, I need you to explain your whole process.
Sure.
And how we got here. And then I had to be convinced to stay.
Oh God. I mean, that's such a senior girl who thinks she's gonna get one role. Yeah. And then, like, doesn't. Is like, no, you gotta, yeah. I mean, okay. I also have some other questions about his casting, mostly because he seemed to want to cast Nazis only as kids of color, which seems like a weird choice.
So that kid was not a kid of color. He was
except the little. Wait, which one was Italian? The little Nazi youth was clearly a little Aryan Hitler youth.
Oh,
boy.
No, the actual Nazi.
Yeah,
that's a very tanned white kid.
Oh my God, really? That was not my assumption.
Could have fooled you.
Yes, a very, very tanned white kid.
Okay, good to know. I really was not. That's actually great to know. I'm so glad to hear.
You thought, Jake, did you think the director was like trying to like make a statement?
No,
and what if the Nazis were...
No, I didn't think that, but I was like, it's just a weird look that, like, there's two.
It is very weird. No, it was weird. You're not wrong. It was weird.
Okay.
The optics were off.
So let me just zoom out for a sec. I like to ask this question just to our guests of sociologically. Could you explain what the theater, like where the theater department in Packer fits in with the rest of the school? Like, who are the kids who are doing the shows? Are they separate from the rest of the school? Are they very within the school? Like, who was the theater department? Who were the kids?
Okay, so I think at Packer, like, we were so small. I think there's only 1,000 people. There are about
not that small. That's
Oh, well, it's from K through 12.
Throughout the whole school, 1,000. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, that is pretty small then, yeah.
So it was about 80 to 100 per grade. And we all did different things. Like, a lot of people were in the musical, like, in chorus, or they played instruments. A lot of the students, like the boys in the cast, were also on the soccer team. So it was like really mixed, like, and they were enthusiastically on the soccer team and also in chorus. Like, they loved both.
I love that.
So it was very mixed, but I do remember everybody was like, we support the theater department except when they do bad shows. So nobody came to see us in Godspell, which
fair.
So sad.
Well, I mean, our Godspell was set in a prison.
Oh, okay. Yes, sure.
So nobody wanted to see that.
And okay,
we were in prison.
That could be another episode.
I could probably find it, but
God.
we were in prison. It was not great. The Jesus couldn't sing. She was a girl.
Oh wow.
But
That sounds like a...
Yeah, a mess. But what else? Yeah, so we all knew each other. We were close, but it was like they were like, "We will come and support you." But y'all are nerds, but we love you anyway. We love you for it.
Within the okay.
I think that makes sense if it's such a small, like, private, like, Brooklyn school that everyone's like, yeah, the theater kids are freaks and we love them, sure.
Yeah.
And is it also the kind of school where the people in the theater department, I guess you alluded to this a bit, are kind of, it's the same core that are doing every show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all do the same shows. We were all in the same, like, there was a elective Shakespeare course where for every semester it was always the same 12 seniors in that Shakespeare course. Like we were in everything.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
That gives good gun. Yeah.
I think we have a good sense of the school, of the process. Should we get into the show? I think we have to.
Let's get into it.
I think from the moment the MC walks out, I could tell that the audience was so enthusiastic because there was a huge cheer for the MC. And I was like, okay.
Okay, so it's because Cabaret was a sleeper hit. So
okay, let's say more.
We only did one weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday, we didn't have that many people. We had like the families and then some students, and then word of mouth passed throughout the school the next day about how like overtly sexual and we were going for it. Okay. And so Friday we ended up having we sold out the next two nights.
Wow.
And it was required that we as students, as part of the cast, we had to sell our tickets. I remember this. Friday I had to come in early to sell the tickets, and I was late to class because we had a line. And it was we at a certain point we had to be middle schoolers can't come without parents. There were rules.
I love that.
So by the recording I sent you was Saturday.
Yeah.
And so that's when
this was
everybody
night.
was yeah. So everyone was in it.
Oh my God.
They were excited.
If you're watching any High School Musical theater that has the word Saturday attached to it, you know you're getting a good show.
You're getting, Saturday's always, you're getting Saturday. To give for context for the audience, Joelle sent us a file that says Cabaret Saturday. So this is we know that this is
etched in the memory. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So that's so interesting that it's a word of mouth. I feel like at my high school, at least, it sort of was just the same people are going to see the show no matter what. But that's so interesting that
I love that. Yeah.
That it was no, you got to see it, and then everyone's okay, fine, yeah, I'll go.
And it wasn't. You said it doesn't sound like it was because people were saying oh, it's so it's so amazing the stage. It was because you're going to see your classmates make out on stage, or I guess pretend to make out.
Oh, no, we were all doing that, for real.
Were you? Because you turned around and there was a...
Oh, yeah, no, I had to. Okay, when we get there, I can tell you why that had to happen.
Okay,
but,
please.
No, we weren't allowed to stage kiss because he was no, that's fake. Just go for it. So... Yeah, it was a sleeper. It was you're going to see your classmates be sexual on stage.
Yes.
And also, it's the best musical they've done since Pressman, which had been years at this point.
Okay.
So...
I would just say, watching... my Cabaret experience, I had seen my brother, when he was in middle school, do, a summer camp performance. So this was, other than the movie... God. This was the oldest production of Cabaret I've ever seen.
And this was the only production of the musical I've ever seen, so I didn't realize how different the movie and the musical are, because they're so different.
But I was struck. I was by the end I was this is a really good show. This is just such a great story, and the music, I remembered way more of it than I thought. So I was it is like with a good cast, which I do think this was, like you can really sell it because it has all the ingredients.
So we're at Willkommen. The Kit, I think we need to start with just the Kit Kat Club stage. Let me start sharing my screen because I would say it's 2 pieces of construction paper that a child wrote Kit Kat Club on. Could we, is that what it was? Because that's sort of what it looked like.
It was cloth, but yes.
Oh, okay. It says Kit Kat. Someone wrote it in they're writing a sign for someone's running a marathon, like their mom is running a marathon. Kit Kat.
Yeah, the budget for this was invested in weird places. Probably the band, because that was all professional.
Oh, they were professionals.
Well, they were professional, and they wanted to get that across because they were so loud, I could hear the dialogue maybe 10% of the time when they were playing.
There are some great moments in this where MC is shrieking over the band to be heard, and you hear nary a word he is saying.
And also, I mean... Okay, can you talk a little bit about how are they just on a wooden platform? Because the pit is above the stage and behind the stage, so I don't know how they're still that loud. Was this a built platform or was this a part of the stage that was already there?
It was built for this.
I was scared. I was scared for them the whole time.
We actually have a pit. We chose not to use it. So the MC is actually a musical genius in real life. I'm not joking. He plays 20 instruments.
Whoa.
He is usually the student who is conducting and helping musical direct these shows.
Interesting. Okay.
So Godspell, he was in charge.
Okay.
And so he's usually in the pit. And for this time, he was like, no, I want to do it. He was like, I just want to be a part of it on the stage this time.
Was he a senior?
Yes.
Okay. I love that.
Oh, I was just saying that they built the platform, pressed it to the back. We had opened up the back curtains because it's a black box theater, not anything special. And so, they just threw them up there. And was like, okay, play.
Oh, boy.
Were there any leads in this who were not seniors?
Yes.
Good question.
Fraulein Schneider.
I was literally going to ask if it was Sally Bowles? I was going to ask Fraulein Schneider. I would not. Wait, what grade were they in?
Juniors.
Okay.
That caused issues.
That's so sneaky when a director does that because it's not bad enough that you have a case against it. It's
right, because junior, it's junior, okay, yeah, but God.
Yeah. That backs into a corner.
I was wondering about Fraulein Schneider, she sings 12 songs that don't need to be in the musical, but they're all every time she starts singing and I'm like, please, I want to skip through this. It's not the actress's fault. It's just there's so many gratuitous numbers that Fraulein Schneider sings. So further in Willkommen, first of all, there's an ass slap and then silence and then the audience cheers. I was like, this is going to be a long 2 hours. I was like, oh my God, let me just play that moment.
While Jake cues it up, I was going to say, because I also had an ass slap note, which is, you watch enough of these shows like Jake and I do, you see there's a lot of butt slap type of stuff that goes on.
There is, yeah.
It is always the least spontaneous looking thing ever. It's so geared up with oh, I gotta do the butt slap, and then it's mechanic run off in the other direction.
Right, okay, here comes the butt slap. Okay.
Also,
there is the audience does not make a sound, and then they're like, okay, I guess this is the show, so we should start cheering.
The little child there also prepares his butt to be slapped. It's even before the MC puts his hand up, he's like,
I guess my ass is gonna be slapped. Can you talk a little bit about these small children? Again, this is not the first time Jacob and I have seen a show where male children are mostly nude. It seems like the boy ensemble members were there to put stuff on stage, to put set items on stage. What was their role in the show?
That was it.
Yeah,
So that's freshman. That's freshman. They largely existed to kiss Cliff, be sexual with Cliff, and then be sent off to move pieces of furniture.
Right. That's why I'm also questioning the director. It's like, oh, you're 18, great. You can be this like woman who is like getting all these sailors into her like, you know, room, but it's like, oh, a 14-year-old boy is going to have to be like the object of desire. Like, that's so weird.
I'm going to throw something out. The boys in this production are far more sexualized than the girls. I'm just going to throw that out. We can discuss it. I noticed, you know, when the Kit Kat because I feel like, oh, you're doing cabaret, there's probably high sensitivity around, well, what are the Kit Kat dancers going to wear? And I will say the Kit Kat dancers are not wearing very skimpy outfits in this production.
So that happened for a reason.
Please
let's hear.
Tell us everything.
So I had to be reminded by a friend who was like, yeah, but don't you remember when so-and-so had to be removed from the cast because of her costume? What? And it was like, what? No, I don't remember this. And apparently there had been, the outfits had not been that long. They were like shorter bloomers at one point. Like hot shorts and corsets. And then a child's parents were like, no. And so Bogue, the director, was like, well, she's got to go then.
Oh my God!
So he was like, I mean, the material's not for you then. You got to go. And so she was removed from the cast because she wasn't like in she wasn't a named Kit Kat dancer. So they were like, bye. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards he was like, I guess I should put them in like longer bloomers and vests.
Oh my God. That is so interesting. Yeah. Huh. Wow.
Okay. So then my hunch was right. There was like founded in some, there was a conversation before.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like.
And we're about to get into the first like real choreography moment, because this is a choreo heavy show at the Kit Kat Club and nowhere else. I mean, you don't do, I think, a single lick of choreography.
No.
But all the Kit Kat dancers do. Can I ask, do you remember, like, were they in like constant rehearsals for
always
that? Yeah.
So I remember this because I would go to them because I didn't have any choreo, so often the director would be like, can you assist the stage manager in some stuff? Because I was friendly with her. I was a really good friend. So he was like, can you help her with this and take notes and record while they do this? So we would sit in the dance studio, and I remember this vividly, how they were constantly being worked in the studio, like 3-hour long choreo rehearsals. And he'd be like, okay, you can leave now.
I mean, and it shows, like, there's a real commitment to Fosse that I feel like most shows that do a Fosse show, most schools that do a Fosse show don't have this level of commitment to Fosse. And B, everyone hits the choreo, even if they're not necessarily, like, doing it perfectly. They all hit it. Like, I was so impressed, honestly.
I wrote, it's such a tight ensemble. Like, it's just, is really, everyone is really committed. I actually realized around minute 1, a good friend of mine and Jake's, Jordan Allen, is in this show.
Oh, I forgot that you guys knew Jordan.
Yeah. I think we had briefly discussed we were like, oh, hey, Jordan. Because
I also...
Kit Kat Tuna or whatever. What was her Kit Kat dancer name? Something like that.
Oh, Texas?
Yes, it was Texas.
I knew she went to Packer, but I didn't know this was Packer when we were watching it. So I was like, that looks a lot like Jordan. And then I was like, there's no way this can't be her, because they look identical.
Yeah. And I really, at around, like, by the time the first choreo in the opening number happened, I was like, this is what everyone imagines high schools in Brooklyn are like. Like this, like a mass of like girls doing Fosse choreo, like in a black box theater, like that. Don't you think that you were like, that's like a Brooklyn stereotype, I feel.
It was a good time. We were.
Yeah.
I want to ask, this is an overarching question, accents.
That was going to be my next question.
We were told to do accents the whole time.
Were you instructed on how to do them?
I don't remember. No, I don't think so. It was just do a German accent.
Because everyone had a different take on a German accent.
Yeah.
They were consistent, like people were, and I did people were, and even many people were even doing them when they were singing as well, which usually in a show in high school you can barely muster out some accent, and then when you sing it's just whatever your normal voice is. But this was consistent. I don't know if it was accurate, but it was certainly consistent.
Right.
Yeah, so we were told, do the accents.
We're sort of wrapping up Willkommen, which is the big opening number for those who don't know, the big opening number of this song.
This show, even.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at my note. I just was looking at a note where I wrote terrified that I said, I am terrified that the skimpiest dressed person in this show is this boy. And I'm sure I was referring to the Aryan child.
Yeah, God.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to So What? I have actually nothing to say about the number itself, except this is the first time we see Joelle, and you got consistently the biggest laughs of the show. When you your comedic timing, people were laughing. When you were like, this is my nephew, people were laughing and laughing.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this because you're our guest, but like, your stuff is consistently like the most understanding of the material and like hitting the beats where they actually are. It was
Thank you so much.
It's so great because also you watch so many kids like not understand the joke that they're saying and just barrel over what should be a laugh line.
Yeah.
There's also so many songs in this show, like So What, that are all called something like "Who Even Cares?" or like it's I don't want to know. Like, they're all, like, some of the songs are great and unique, but others are very much just like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't even know.
None of them need to be in the show. And also, this is towards the end of this, like, right before Don't Tell Mama, this is when, Jordan comes in, puts her hand on Cliff stands up, walks closer to the shirtless boy, I guess to signify that he's gay or queer in some way, and then they all say, "Welcome to Berlin, famous novels," like a cult. It's so scary.
That's in the script.
I know, but it's so frightening.
That was also my question. The sexuality, all of that, like the men and the women, that's in the script, or was that like a directorial choice?
That's got to be in the script.
A lot of it was in the script, but then like, I think he did let us, like, interpret our own characters quite a bit. Like, where he was like, we're going to do character work. We're going to talk through this. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember the kid who played Cliff had decided he's a bisexual. He was like,
no, but Cliff is bisexual. Like, isn't that, like, that is...
I always think I think he's more coded as gay often.
Okay,
like,
okay.
He was like, he's a bisexual, but that's because of a showmance.
Oh.
With Sally. Oh. They are still together to this day.
Wait. Buried the lead. Oh my god. Okay, please,
details.
Tell us everything.
Did they get together during the show and now they're still together?
It's iffy. So the kid who played Cliff had previously dated one of the two ladies.
Oh my god.
They broke up, and so there was tension there. And then the MC was dating one of the two ladies, the one that had broken up with Cliff. So there was tension.
Oh my god.
And then the Cliff and Sally had a thing. They stopped speaking during college and they got back together about 2 or 3 years ago.
You can never pull Cliff and Sally apart. Isn't that really just what life might be a cabaret, but their tension on stage doesn't show. I would never have guessed that they were in a showmance or cared even a little bit about each other.
No, yeah. It was like, I think they were very much like, we can't, but for the show, but no, it was very... What are the
odds that the girl who played Sally listens to this? Just so I know my level of honesty, I guess, to bring to this.
Not at all.
Great.
She's in Norway.
She walks on stage and I don't think she made a face for the entire show. Like, she had a beautiful voice, but she had no face.
I wrote down that she had one I picked it up towards the end. She had one, like, her neutral face was like, I'll see if I can do it, but it was kind of like this. It was like,
God. Yeah.
Like, it was like a glassy-eyed, like, half smile that just, I don't know what...
Yeah. All the girls come on. All the Kit Kat dancers come on for Don't Tell Mama. Sally just sits on a stool, and they are all doing the most choreo, and she does absolutely nothing. Was that, like, could she just not do choreo, or was that part of it?
She couldn't really do choreo.
Oh, no.
That is tough. I did write it. So I write my notes in such like a bitchy. I'm like, this is ... not a Liza inspired performance.
That was Daniela's main note.
I can even talk about how mine hair was supposed to be done on chairs. And
that was my question. I was like, okay, she couldn't make it work? Oh, more details, please. What happened?
They were like, if she can't be on the chair and sing and dance, then nobody can be on the chair and sing and dance.
God. I mean, also, like, why did they give her, like, an American diner stool to sit on in the... It was like a
that's what we had in the back.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I guess I should have known that.
But you would think they would invest in props because we were a school with an endowment, but they were like, no.
Right. I was surprised. Like, Jake and I have watched some real, like, you know, like super rural, poor district where the sets are like crazy and this, and so I would think like, oh yeah, it's like a Brooklyn private school. You're gonna get this and that. So was it like an underfunded department or what? Like,
yeah, that was
were
my
other
question
sets
too.
like this?
No, because I've seen sets from before and after. This was a choice.
Because also the Cliff's bedroom was 4 chairs. That was the whole set. It was 4 chairs in different areas of the stage. Like, not even a bed.
Oh, yeah, no, it was a choice.
Sorry, Jacob. An unsung hero of this.
Let's hear.
Is Max, the actor who plays Max.
Wait, which one's Max?
Max is like the club owner, isn't he? He's
yes!
like sort of like brute. He's like has an unbuttoned shirt, but he has some like.
Wait,
I just have him at 28 minutes. Max? I just wrote Max is doing a good job.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend Max. Oh, the club owner. Yes. Yeah, he was pretty good.
He just had like because I think that there was some lack of believability among the Nazis of like, you're not a menacing Nazi, although maybe that's the point. But Max, I was like, I don't even know if he isn't, but I was like, you're scaring me. I don't know what you're doing, but you're scaring me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I mean, that might be just him, but...
I really need for us to get to Mein Air, because, I mean, Joelle, already you gave us the biggest, piece of information, which is that it should have been choreography, which would have loved to see. I need to just play the moment where she does this, because there's a moment in Mein Air when, right after she sings the intro, when she starts waving, if this was, she waves as if, I don't know if, you were as big 30 Rock heads as I was, but literally when Liz Lemon gets her own show and they're like, blow a kiss, Lemon, and she's like that's what this is giving. Like, it is like so rough. Let me try to get to that moment, because it's just, okay. This, you can see she's scared, she's frightened. Okay, she's gonna start doing it now. What? Why is she's just she's just limply waving her hand. Was that choreographed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was tough.
Say what you're thinking, Joelle.
Okay, so the whole time, like, beautiful voice. Beautiful voice. Serves literally nothing. And it was a consistent problem through the production, because he would be like, stop, be funny, and she wouldn't.
So, yeah,
like,
that's...
make
like,
a face! No.
Right. Is that's my... truly, like... her voice is so nice, and then it's like, if I was listening to this as a concert, that's what I was saying. It's like she's performing this as if it's just like a concert that the school is having, and not like she needs to be like a feral, unhinged cabaret girl. Like, there's none of that here.
Yeah.
She was so also because like I mean she commits to an accent. It's not bad, but like she's just like a posh Brit who has like a 1930s Dust Bowl hairstyle. That's not at all like it's not Liza Minnelli. I'll tell you that. It's a super like
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy too because he made us cut our hair. So I don't know why he didn't make her cut her hair.
Are you serious? Wait, say more. He made you cut your hair. Why?
Not me, because I had curls.
Right, he made
people get their haircuts. Like, a lot of the boys. Like, some of the girls. God. It was like, cut your hair.
That's so funny. I also, that's wild. There was no need for that. It's not like we would have been taken out of the world.
The only boy who didn't have to cut his hair was the MC.
I was going to say,
He was like, you can be unhinged. It's fine if you're overgrown.
Yeah.
Like...
Speaking of the Kit Kat Club also, in this number, this was when it really, like, again, the Kit Kat dancers did everything they needed to do, but the sounds, because they're constantly standing up, getting down, the sounds they make of their character shoes, like, hitting the stage are so loud compared to every other sound, even the orchestra. Yeah. It's so funny. It's like scrambling to get up sounds.
Yeah, I noticed that on the rewatch. I was like, what's happening? And I haven't seen this in 7 years. Like, and so I'm sitting there like, what's happening?
Yeah, what was that like to watch it for the first time?
Horrifying. Like, I just was like, what adult let this happen? Like, all the ad-libs that in the beginning with Bill Clement, like, and those had to be approved. And I was like, and I had just gotten dinner with the MC when I got this.
God.
And I was like, hey, I'm doing this podcast, and I just rewatched Cabaret. What the fuck were you doing? And he was like, I don't know, it's committing to the bit. And I was like, yeah, you were committed. Like,
he was committed because every time he popped up, which was a lot, where he would just sort of pop up, I was scared. Like, I was like, oh, God,
I was genuinely scared.
Yeah.
Especially I think that he really comes into his own around, like, I think around Two Ladies. It's really, like, he's settled into this role. Money makes the world go round.
That song comes out of nowhere.
Well, yeah.
Two Ladies.
Something unleashes in him in Money. In Money Makes the World Go Round, where he just like goes super unhinged, but he really like warms up into it. There was someone, I would say in contrast, I feel like Cliff kind of cools down throughout the show. Like he's
he was the golden boy. Had come into theater late.
Or Cliff. Oh, Cliff.
No, Cliff. Came into theater late, junior year, very golden boy, beloved.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's so obvious.
Like a very, very straight white boy.
Which is funny because usually the golden boy can sing a little.
Oh, also Perfectly Marvelous, which could have been cut. So many songs in this show could have been cut for time, for everything. First of all, no one on stage was giving freak except you, Joelle, and all the ensemble girls. Everyone, and maybe the MC a little. Everyone else was so normal, and this show should be a show full of freaks. Also, my question was, there's a moment, I don't remember why, but an egg, someone has to crack an egg. Was that a sound effect, or did someone, like, crack an egg on stage?
I think someone cracked an egg on stage.
That's so beautiful. So in Two Ladies, that, first of all, comes out of nowhere. Second of all, at this point, this is when Daniela said, and please, Joelle, I need to hear about this. Daniela said, you just know there's so much making out at these cast parties. Please confirm or deny.
Oh, confirmed.
Please. What, was it like the same as on stage where everyone was making out with everyone, or were there specific ones?
No. So our theater parties were like big in that it wasn't just cast. If you came to the show, you could show your ticket at the door, and you could
oh my
come
God.
in.
Who's like, where were the parties
It was like
happening?
a rager. So Fraulein Schneider was very wealthy and had a duplex on Wall Street that her parents...
Oh my God.
That's where her parents lived, and they cleared out that day. And they were like, you can just throw a party. For the play I had done, somebody's parents let us have their brownstone. I was like, okay, that one had to be shut down by the police, but not the Wall Street one.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like they would, yeah. And if you came to see a show, you could come.
That's
and
amazing.
You would rage.
I have never heard, that was a rule. That's great.
Do you think that the like sexual energy of this show raised the overall like libido of the cast? Like, do you think that the cast party for this show was a little bit more horny than like the other ones that like
than like
less...
Godspell?
Right.
Yes and no, because it wasn't with each other.
Because
we had become so comfortable and like whatever about each other's bodies that it was no longer interesting.
It was like,
right. Also, so back to Two Ladies, it was not in anyone's range, but they danced really well. But I'm
they
sure
were both dancers.
I could tell.
Oh, they beefed. The two ladies hated
really?
With each other?
The two ladies had beef. Yeah, the parents at this point, after Two Ladies, I think they probably wanted to die a little bit, because that, I think, was the first, like, really sexual number. Then, Joelle, you pop back on, and you're, again, the only one with any ounce of comedic timing in this whole show.
I wrote 50-56. Joelle timing is great.
Out of my house. The sailor, dear lady, is my brother.
Yes, yeah, completely agreed. This is just the Joelle praise moment. Then
thank you.
Fraulein Schneider sings, it couldn't please me more. This is like what Jacob's saying with everything is just a phrase. Like every song title she sings is a phrase.
If it is, then it is. Like that.
Yeah.
Herr Schultz couldn't sing.
Or like why is that song in such a crazy high range? Or like what octave was he doing it in? What?
He was bass too. I don't know why they were trying to get him to up there. Like he just didn't have. He was not a tenor. He was not.
Sure, yeah. I liked actually like the acting that he did. He made me kind of feel for him, but it was. I have nothing to say about most of Fraulein Schneider's songs. I think we could pass right through there because then we get to.
Voice.
Oh, sorry.
I bet she had a nice voice. Yeah. Actually,
she had a nice voice, but I was bored out of my mind the whole time she was singing.
During the marriage song, I was like, what the hell? And then I was like, there's a fucking reprise of this? What?
Yeah, because they are literally, like, quite frankly, I think they have more songs than Cliff and Sally. Like, they are a more important relationship in the show than Cliff and Sally are.
Well, it's more interesting.
Which is so wild.
But
it is more interesting.
The relationship is, not the characters. But.
Right. Then we get to The First Time Tomorrow Belongs to Me comes out, and the kid looked like a sepia-toned, like, Hitler Youth photo. Like, he was
that's what he's supposed to. Oh, yeah, they found a little brown costume for him to be in, and they were like, you're a Hitler Youth.
And then I have to play this moment, because there's a moment where, I mean, again, I think, like, people were just excited that a little kid was singing, but he sings, and he walks off stage, and people are clapping. Well, yes, I mean, it's rough, but people are clapping, and then the whole stage turns red. Yeah, he's marching, like, people, it's so funny to hear people clapping for what he's doing there. I'll just play that, like, because it really is so funny.
I also, while you pull that up, I don't know, I was looking into the history of Tomorrow Belongs to Me. I don't know if you guys have done any, like, research on it. Fascinating history about the song, which is that it, was written by was it Cantor and Ebb, whoever wrote this, and they're two Jews, and it's obviously anti-fascist. The song has been adopted by many far-right groups, including, and this was originally like the first group who adopted it, a gay neo-Nazi group in the 70s.
What?
Excuse me? Like, they were gay and they're neo-Nazis?
They were gay neo-Nazis, and they adopted.
I mean, if they're gonna adopt any song, it should be a song from Cabaret, but like, that's insane.
But it's become like, even though it was made to like literally be the opposite, it's become a far right.
That's
it's
insane.
So interesting. Yeah.
That's wild. Okay, let's play No Face. People are so excited, clap, and then, yep, there he goes. Like, it's such a cognitive dissonance that the audience is, like, screaming, clapping, and he's like, like, goose stepping off the stage. Like, what are you doing? Audience, stop clapping. Like, they're not picking up on the cues of the show. Like, they're clapping for Hitler. It's so funny.
They become aware later, I feel like.
Right, yes, they definitely do. You're right. Yeah.
Because if you didn't know anything about the show, I guess you could watch Tomorrow Belongs to Me and still not really, because he's not.
You could watch
right?
watch up to the end of Act 1, ostensibly, and not know fully what's happening. Yeah.
So we move forward. Before we get to maybe this time, can we play a specific moment, which is when Sally says, "I'm pregnant." There's a great phone ding in the audience to like cut any dramatic tension of
Okay,
that.
what's the time?
I have it at an hour 1:20. So maybe somewhere around.
Or about anyone at all.
You truly mean this,
More than I've ever meant anything.
darling.
Okay.
You want to tell me
The
what's
coughing.
wrong?
Nothing at all. I'm pregnant.
God. That is so funny. I'm pregnant. Yeah, God.
And I will say that scene is probably some of her best acting in the show, and it gets totally bulldozed by.
This also, then she starts thinking maybe this time it's too low for her. She sounds good again, but she sounds like she's in a concert. There's no desperation in her voice. Like, I don't know.
It was just too low to her. I just rewatching. I was like, I just know that she is. I think a big part of it is also stage fright because I just heard her do it better, and I've seen her do it better, and I was like, and I remember that our director was always like, you have to perform really big in rehearsal because it's gonna be smaller when you're on stage because you're gonna be terrified. Yeah, and so it was a bummer.
Yeah,
but also it's just too low.
Yeah.
So we're doing maybe this time, which sounds good, but my mind is going elsewhere. I'm kind of bored watching it. Now, can you orient, sort of like, just give a snapshot, what's happening backstage? In these shows, what's happening backstage? All the time? What's the scene?
The MC was a tyrant. He ran a tight ship.
Yes.
You had to be quiet. You had to be paying attention. If you were gonna talk, you better be in a dressing room with the door closed.
Oh my God.
No one in the halls were silence. Be in your places. Oh, he was a tyrant.
That is so funny.
There was not a lot of, was that pretty consistent for at my school, there was a very fun backstage culture, and it was kind of like if you're not in the show a lot, it's so fun because you get to be backstage. But was that was that consistent with every show?
No, we usually were having a good time, but we had our very strict traditions. Like, we were very, very strict on traditions that, like, before a show, every time we did the wobble backstage in the dance studio, and the director was only invited the first night, and then afterwards
the
we
wobble
were like,
is really placing us in 2016.
Yeah. They apparently still do the wobble.
Wow.
It's like so the director, like, he was allowed to come for the wobble, but then we sent him out, and then seniors would be like, okay, let's go through our theater exercise, like a big black bug, but a big black bear. We went through all of it. And then, because there were so many seniors, we did speeches split up on different nights. Ooh, so the more seniority you had, the later your speech would go. When was your speech, Joelle? Last day.
Of course.
Last day.
Yeah.
MC, last day.
Yeah.
One of the blonde 2 lady, last day.
God. What did she mention her relationship with the MC or Cliff in her speech?
Of course, both.
That's so funny. Also, well, I'm imagining too, like what you were saying with the backstage, like the MC being a tyrant. That makes sense because he was probably stressed out of his mind to make sure he got on stage when he needed to get on stage. Like, that makes sense to me that he was a tyrant because he was projecting his own fear and stress onto all of you.
Yeah, he was always on stage. He was always like, the whole thing was, we had to make sure he was always ready first. So, and that was the role that our director put on. So they were like, he was always like, okay, he has to be ready before all of you, so make sure he's good. And then, and the stage manager was like, we had to have two, because we had to have one in the booth, and then we had one backstage who managed him.
And then the MC got his own personal stage manager.
Yeah, because he was also, I will say, he was Jewish, and so this had a huge, like, impact on psyche of him constantly being, so it was, like, very, like, he was always, like, very, very out of his mind, very stressed, like, very, like, what is happening? He was like, and it's like, you're a child, so
that's a good. Managed. I was wondering what percentage of the people were Jewish. Were a lot of the people Jewish?
Huge percentage.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, like also I'm imagining like the girl who played Fraulein Schneider was probably Jewish. Like, and she like so much of it was like some people are Nazis, they're probably Jewish. Some people are just Jews walking around on stage. I was very curious about that.
Yeah, good 50 to 60%.
Sure, that's what I was imagining.
Because I say like, because we are inching to the Act 1 finale Heil. Like, I feel like Jews, especially Jews in high school, like have no discomfort heiling. Like it's like such a like.
Yeah,
you're so right.
Oh yeah, because we were like, I think one of the rehearsal days was the anniversary of Kristallnacht, and the director was like, we're gonna take the day, and everyone was like, are you sure? like, we
need this rehearsal day.
All these Jewish kids were like, wait, but we can still do it. And he was like, no.
Was the director himself Jewish?
No.
Yeah, of course not. Okay, let's get to money. I just have one thing to say, which is that, and I'm gonna play it. I wrote, please, Mom, come pick me up. The girls are walking in as a human blob again, because they do this 10 times, and it is scary every time. Let me play this. Okay. He's sniffing. Oh, God. Here they come. This is scary. I am scared. And then the girls walk in, the Kit Kat dancers walk in as a human blob, sort of modern dance vibes, all holding each other's shoulders. They touch the MC, they walk out, and then I was like, thank God, they're gone. And then they walk right back in.
And again, I don't know what happened, but in this, he just really goes super unhinged in this song. It was good. I was glad to see that honestly, he doesn't really have to sing at this point. He just has to like shout and act, which is like kind of fun. Now, is the next scene, Joelle, is the next scene with you and the sailor? Because I wrote 1:11:33.
It is. Yes.
I wrote 1:11:33, the most flaccid hug. Now, we're at the point. Can you explain what's going on behind the scenes vis-a-vis
Please.
you?
Is this the one where is this which one is this? There were so many sailors.
I pulled up.
I'm sure I'm referring to the little child Nazi like Hitler Youth boy.
This sailor.
Oh, he was so adorable. I couldn't make it sexual. He was like a little one.
Right, and it is that.
Like I was told to try, but I was like,
you're like, no.
You're really young.
That's so fair. Also, like, if they cast you, like, they should be casting your paramours as older people too. If they're gonna cast you and say like you need to be sexual,
that's why it felt so. Yeah.
But also, Daniela at this point goes like, oh, that's a nice set. And I was like, what? And she was like, the set, like the pajama set Joelle's wearing. And I was like, oh, you did not mean the set. And she was like, no, the set is so broken.
Yeah.
That's on Daniela.
I was in all vintage costumes. That's a huge part of the budget.
Your costumes were amazing, and you changed so much. Like, you had so many different costumes.
Yeah, I was in vintage the whole time, and it was really cool.
We love that.
So was Sally, was in vintage the whole time, which is why the costumes for the Kit Kat girls were very broke by the end, because they were in pajamas.
Sure, yeah. Also, you kiss one of the sailors, so you really kissed them?
Yes. Okay, so that one was a friend of mine, yes, and he had kissed a girl.
Oh!
And so I had to be, I remember having to be like, okay, come sit by me really quick. And we had to hash it out. It was like, it doesn't have to count. And I remember during Tech Week, he bit me, which is why it was not... Like, it was, like, really quick because he had bit me. And I was like,
oh my God.
What the fuck is wrong with you? And he did it more than once by accident. And I was like, we're not going to do this anymore because you keep biting me.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like that. I did kiss him, but it was really fast because, he would continuously bite me.
That's so funny.
Hilarious.
Also, Joelle, at some point, this really goes to, I think, the German accent being a free-for-all, because you say, I see we have become sisters, and it sounds vaguely African. Like, you are doing...
Yes!
So, you are doing,
Sisters.
like, you are doing a vaguely African accent at that point. Because truly, the German accents become whatever accent a child has maybe heard the most. Like, the guy who played... Herr Schultz, like, whatever his accent was something not German too. I was like, these kids are just doing an accent. You are just choosing an accent.
We unfortunately then go to Married.
Oh,
song,
God.
Which, like... Also, I did say, who is the ghastly looking girl who is singing?
You can't hear her, and if only the cardboard mic she was holding was a real mic.
Oh my God, so she could actually sing. And
yes, she sounded
German.
good.
And so that's why she was there, because they were having her sing in German, and she could sing, but they never mic'd her.
Wait,
and
it was in German
because she's
I couldn't hear it.
Totally
Lost.
Yes, that's the crazy part. It was like, she's not mic'd. She's actually singing in actual German. She has a lovely voice.
Yeah,
and yet nobody can hear her because she's right underneath the band.
And pale as a ghost.
Oh my God, pale as an absolute ghost.
She was very Aryan.
This girl has never seen the sun.
We can skip Married, so go ahead, Jacob.
I would say we're at the end of Act 1, which is so funny. Again, now that we've kind of been building up this arsenal of shows, the number of shows that end Act 1 in a party, or that, like, some sort of a party scene, it's such a, like, has anyone ever not ended a musical? It's so funny. We get the first swastika reveal at 1:20:31.
Yes, when he takes off the jacket, audience silent. And he takes off. It's Ernst? What's his name? Ernst, I think. Yeah. Also, I mean, there's the swastika. There's a lot of, we find out he's a Nazi, blah, blah, blah. We find out, or Schneider finds out Herr Schultz is a Jew, which I don't know how that didn't come up between them before, but also, Joelle, you walk, so this is your big number, Joelle, so we gotta hear more about this, but you walk up sexily to the front of the stage, and then you are the only one who sings in character even a little. Like, at least, like, you sing in German, you sing with a feral Nazi energy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, you are the only one. Oh.
But before we get to the song, we need to play Joelle's Jews line. At 1:20.
Let's 1:20. What's the timestamp?
I have it at 1:20:50. For context, this is sort of the reveal that there are Nazis, and I mean, Joelle, I'll let you speak more to
Let's hear. Yes, let's hear. This is okay. I'm sorry, I keep pausing, but you can't hear half the dialogue in this because the orchestra is playing the accompanying music
so loud,
just so fucking loud. Like, quiet it down. If they're professional musicians, they should know.
Also, sir, this also is an important. Like, to my point, Sally looks like a 65-year-old woman. Like, she is dressed in like she's dressed like a grandmother. I just don't get it.
Right? It's not. Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah. Okay.
He should be. He can afford 10 times as much. They have all the money, the Jews.
Herr Schultz, I think I've changed my mind.
But at least we can hear it. It's an insane line, but we can hear you say it, unlike Ernst. Please, the way you are moving your head, the pattern, the absolute. Please, what was the rehearsal process like? Did the director what was the dramaturgy like for this show? Please.
I remember it was very free for all.
I'm gonna isolate this screenshot as a. This is really.
He didn't want to linger because it's tough.
Yeah.
And so I just remember him being like, "Okay, just go for it." like be an anti-Semite.
I mean, you have to be. You can't. That's the show. If there's half the cast are like literal Nazis, not just.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
When I was doing it, I remember being like, it has to be casual, but almost like a bait. He's like, you are baiting this into happening because you dislike these people. So say it almost like the Jews.
The Jews. No, and listen, you committed, because again, you could not, we were, for those of you who couldn't tell, Ernst had dialogue before that. You couldn't hear a lick of it. He wasn't enunciating, nor was he audible over the pit, but you fully were.
It's very weird, because these people are all mic'd except me.
Why are you not mic'd?
You're
not mic'd for your song?
I'm not mic'd at all for the entire show.
Excuse me? That is insane. I can hear you so well.
I can tell you why, because...
Okay, please.
When I sang Bless the Lord, I blew out the speaker when I was mic'd.
So real.
And they had to pay to replace it, and so they were like, Joelle is no longer allowed to be mic'd. She is loud enough.
That is so
that was how
funny.
It went.
Only
because
in
when
high
I did
school
Bless
theater.
the Lord, I did the new Broadway cast one with the run into the...
I was gonna say, yes.
At the end.
Yes,
and so I did that.
But you know what? They should not have faulted you for that. Just turn down the mic. Like, that's not your fault.
So they were like, you are no longer my... And it doesn't hurt when I sing that loud. Like, it's not like I have to try. But it was just also
loud.
like... Yeah, I'm just loud. So...
That's so funny.
But they were like... She's not mic'd. She doesn't need to be.
Was there any, like, because obviously this is the first song where we're getting the idea that, like, this show is now in Act 2 going to be about the rise of fascism. Like, what did you see as your, like, and also this is, like, the last time you really come up in the show. Like, what was the process like for this scene in rehearsal?
Singing alone a lot.
Okay, yeah.
So, me and Sally got rehearsed a lot together. Because...
How come?
Well, vocally, we were the only people loud. And so, our musical director would be like, Joelle, insert Sally's name, come over here. Like, you need to, he would be like, okay, you both need to keep warming up your voices. So, we would warm up separately, because it was, like, lots of screaming really loudly. So he would just work on us. And so
also knowing
I
now that you weren't mic'd adds a lot of context to just the volume at which you sing Tomorrow Belongs to Me.
Oh yeah, which again I was like also listening to it again, I was like, why is everyone so quiet? There's a whole chorus behind me. Far downstage. You're right behind me. The stage is huge. You're like maybe a foot behind me. Where are you? But yeah.
Can we just, to round out Act 1, get a still? I mean, it's not going to work for a but get a still of 1:23:45.
Yes, of course.
But I feel like I know exactly what that is.
Yeah. Oh, you know what it is. Let's. God damn it! It's so insane. Yes, girls, Joelle, the look on your face.
Yours is almost like you're like trying to fly. Like it's like you're putting your whole body into it.
Oh, but I see Sally and only the Germans are howling. I see. Sally and
everyone else is sad.
Yeah. Everyone else is sad, but you're not sad. You're powerful.
Front and center.
You're front and center,
I'm a fascist.
You're a fascist. You're a Nazi. That's beautiful. I mean, that could be the thumbnail for sure.
There's some. Well, Act 2
there's
is
so many. Oh yeah.
Now, you might not have noticed, but in Act 2, there is a swastika Nazi flag.
Right, you may not have seen the swastika that's just there the whole time in front of the pit. Also, I was like, oh, thank God, maybe the swastika will dampen the orchestra's extremely loud sound. No. They play the entr'acte for 20 minutes.
Yeah, the entr'acte goes on forever and gets, like, an ovation at the end.
They took their moment.
Jake, no, the image has to be when the cast is pointing to the pit and applauding.
Yes, that's what I.
But
yeah,
they're
the pit.
pointing to the Nazi
yes,
flag.
I know. It's so they're pointing to the swastika at the end. You're like, "Thank you, pit," and it's like swastika. It's so funny. I know. I pulled that out too. Okay, before we get Act 2 opening after the entr'acte, which lasts forever. Correct me if I'm wrong. The MC is supposed to be in drag at this point, and yet that doesn't come across at all because all the girls are wearing basically the same thing that he has always been wearing. So then he's wearing kind of a wig, and he pulls it off and says, "It's me," and it's like, yeah, we know you were wearing a wig that looked like your regular hair.
And you just,
Yeah.
I truly just thought he like did his hair differently.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess her hair. I thought he like put like a hairband, and that was it.
Yeah.
It's crazy because he would have committed. He would have been.
Sure,
in
I could
like,
tell.
He just. I don't know what the choice there was, but he was very comfortable. He would have been in a
I'm
skirt
sure
and a
he
leotard.
would have. Yeah, but yeah, no, I could tell it was not on him that he was. Okay, yeah. Then we get to Married Reprise. I literally just wrote flop. I have literally nothing to say about this song.
Just why? Not once, but twice in this show, and it needs to be 0 times. Oh my God.
Then if you could see her, arguably one of the most famous songs in the show. We need to hear who was in the gorilla suit. Joelle, tell us everything.
That's the big one. Who's in the gorilla
The
suit?
little Nazi boy.
Oh my God! No, why? He can't tap. Could he not hear the music through the gorilla? He was not on the beat at all.
Not at all. But they were like, we're just gonna put him in there. Even though we did have girls who could tap, we had girls who could tap.
Then why wouldn't they just put the girls in there?
I don't know. The blonde 2 ladies girl could tap, and they were like, no.
Is there any note in the script about who should play? Is it like the gorilla is, or it's
I think it's often a boy. I think it's.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
So that's usually what. Wow. Okay.
The gorilla also, I mean, he did a few moments where he scratched his leg, but other than that, he wasn't really giving gorilla at all.
Nope.
He was giving high school mascot. It was very.
So he can't tap. He's off consistently. The MC they don't even try to put him in tap shoes because, I mean, when would he change into tap shoes? If he really couldn't. I loved the MC's feral line read of "She wouldn't look Jewish at all." That was really good. I liked that a lot. I could play that because I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I always thought of that line as more of a wink wink whisper.
Yeah,
this was
but I liked it. I like that it wasn't. Yeah,
totally.
I feel like the second act, when there wasn't that many like bootlegs like available at the time, and so a lot of his Act 1 MC was definitely based on Alan Cumming, but by the second act, he didn't have any reference, so he was just going for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. Like, he made choices. Like, you literally can't say he didn't make
that's
choices.
Also, yeah. I feel like that's a good case for not watching a previous version, because I felt like I kind of was more into his Act 2 performance than the Act 1 performance.
She wouldn't look Jewish at all.
Also, I hear like 2 people laughing because they've never seen Cabaret and they don't know what that is supposed. Like, I mean, like it like with the swastika, with his like feral laughing, like it works. It's like it's really what it should be, which is like a descent into chaos and fascism.
And I'll say you've said a lot about like, well, the director made us do this, and it was I will say that it was a well directed show. Like the direction,
sure.
And I was really so like it was very thoughtful. So I'll say that.
Yeah, unhinged but thoughtful.
Unhinged but thoughtful is a great
Yeah.
Then we have What Would You Do, which Fraulein Schneider needs to... Why didn't they... if I was the director, I would cut... No, I know. It's a nice song.
What Would You Do? No, but the thing is that she fucked up the bridge. And I remember this. You probably didn't notice because it's not in the...
I mean, I couldn't hear what she was saying either.
Oh,
but...
yeah. So, yeah, the orchestra was so loud during that.
Yeah.
But, I love that song. But, yeah, it was also definitely something... Like, they needed to pick 3 songs for Fraulein Schneider.
That's exactly my thought.
Instead of the 5 or 6
yeah.
that she has.
And the thing is, I looked up separately the lyrics, and I was like, oh, this is a really, like, this seems like it would be a great song. Again, though, in this production, it really doesn't, the way she gets into it, it's not the, when you can't, like, speak anymore, sing. Like, there was nothing, she literally could have said, what would you do if you were me, and it would have, like, emotionally had the same impact as her singing this song. Yeah. Not in every production, but in this specific production.
Mm-hmm. She gives a much more compelling performance in the monologue that follows it. Of like,
yes, agreed.
I survived, and it's like, well, that's more powerful than the song you just sang.
Right, yeah, which is not good. Yeah, okay. Then we get into I Don't Care Much,
which is so in that.
That's my favorite song. It's my favorite song.
He also does a great... Nice. Well, it's interesting you were like, he's Jewish and he was feeling that, because I wrote 147.50, he's so in his feelings as he ties on the star.
Oh, I just... not him singing this song is my favorite, but just in general,
no,
it is one of my favorite songs in Cabaret. Yeah, and I always feel like your MC can be rated on how you do that song. Mm-hmm. And how if you pull it off, and I was always very proud of him for being able to do that. Because he's not a singer. So
no, I think, but his acting and his emotions and the way he like clearly feels the music is enough to sell it. Like, it's so different from Cliff, where I'm like, I wish you weren't acting or singing, and I wish you weren't on the stage. Whereas him, I'm like, I'm already invested, so however you sound, I don't care. Mm-hmm. The MC, though, he is a jump scare each time he comes on stage, which, again, is kind of the point.
Right.
And also, then Cliff gets beaten up, and the sound effects of him, and not even sound effects, just the sound of him getting beaten up on stage is so like, God. Funny.
No, but as we lead into Cabaret, because I was wondering about... this is a general overarching question. Of the cast, like, what percentage of kids, and maybe this is just your high school, like, are drinking, are, like, having any sort of drug use? Like,
all of us.
Everyone is.
All of us.
It's Brooklyn.
All of us are snorting coke.
Oh my God.
Weed, drinking alcohol, like, all of us.
Yeah.
Like, we're all on drugs.
God, New York.
Okay, so Cabaret... Again, when I saw the way she performed it, this was when I understood that you were really robbed, because you would have given a feral desperation that this song requires, and she just sang a song. She just was singing the song Cabaret. Well, but she didn't, like, I could imagine, based on your performance singing Tomorrow Belongs to Me, I could imagine you imbuing this with the emotion it requires. There was nothing here.
I liked her. She sounded nice.
She sounded nice. We can't say she didn't sound nice. So it seems clear to me that like Schneider and Schultz are supposed to be like the glue that kind of hold the whole show together in the musical. Do you know how they like worked their scenes together? Like, what was the rehearsal process for them like?
They were both very awkward because they didn't really know each other.
Oh, how come?
Well, he was a senior, like, he was in the plays, but, like, they just weren't, I feel like there was probably, like, a divide between grades in terms of who was tight and who was not, and he was a senior. Oh, right, because
she is a junior.
Junior, yeah. So they had never really communicated or, like, hung out too often.
Yeah.
So it was definitely awkward. Mm-hmm. I think she might have had a crush on him at one point, and he was like, no. So...
Yeah. Also, this was also when it was clear to me after Cabaret that the shirtless ensemble boys are literally just there to put, like, they can't even dance at the Kit Kat
Yeah.
Club. Were they ever there? Like, even for rehearsals, like, they were barely needed. Like, they were literally just stage crew.
Sometimes they would sit in the like audience.
That's beautiful. Sometimes they would
interrupted.
sit. God.
Yeah, so it was not great.
Yeah. Also, when they came out to bow, I was like, I've never seen these kids before.
Not
I have
at
no
all.
idea who
Not
they
at all.
are. Okay, I mean, I guess we're at now the full end, the last moments of the show with the MC. Do you think I was really relieved when the parents started clapping. At what point were the parents, do you think, like, how were they cued to start clapping even? Because did the lights turn off fully? Like, I didn't even see the lights go off at the very end.
Oh, for Cabaret or the end of the show?
No, the very end of the show.
Oh, well, the swinging light was going.
Yeah.
The swinging lights,
And then
it's dimmed.
Okay.
And the curtains closed.
Okay. I think I just didn't see that because the stage was kind of grainy. So I was like, what? How do they even know when to clap? Yes, and then they start clapping. The boys come on for unless, Joelle, do you have anything else to say about, because now we're at the bows, but like the final, whatever, the rehearsal process, even Tech Week, like how was Tech Week for this show? Like getting it on the stage.
Tech Week was so rough. Like, so rough. Like, we were, like, in shambles. Like, we were always being yelled at. We were,
Sure.
like, everything was being tightened. Like, the finale wasn't coming together. Like, particularly, like, the mirroring of the beginning monologue with the MC's final monologue where he's saying the same thing. Our costumes weren't in for that last
God.
one yet. It was, like, a mess. And then we just didn't get the swinging light thing.
The Willkommen reprise, like, oh, God.
I mean, nails on a chalk. Like, it was just...
Yeah.
It was
And also
rough.
he has, like, one of the most important, like, lines, like, that is put, like, there was a cabaret, there was a master of ceremonies, there was a city called Berlin and a country called Germany, and it was the end of the world. And it's like, can't hear it, don't care, like, summing up the show, but no one can hear it or care.
Yeah.
Then, we get to the bows, as we said. I guess we
Now-
could share what it, yes,
I got a
please.
question. These were... Because my bows are my favorite part of these shows. These were so political, as it seemed. It seemed like I was seeing, like, this was the most, like, a group of people bow, but then someone gets a second bow.
Yeah,
within
some
the
get
line
an
if they did
extra,
a little
yeah.
bit more. And there were, like, 9 or 10 tiers of bowing. And obviously, the later you bow is you want to bow as late as possible. When do bows get decided? Is there any conversation, or is it just you take what you
A
get?
week before.
A week
It was
before.
A week before.
Okay.
And then I remember he was like, you cannot smile. No smiling.
Yeah,
You
that was
have
clear.
an incredibly
No one was-
serious bow. You have I wrote down
Yeah.
the most serious bow.
He was like, no smiling.
No
He was like,
smiling.
there's a swastika on stage. You cannot smile.
Well, there's a swastika on stage for the whole second act, and then you point to it while you're clapping and smiling. Should we just play a minute of these bows? Okay, they're bowing. Oh, is that the little Nazi boy? Who's
Yes.
bowing right now? Okay.
Right, so he gets
Yes.
a second bow.
He gets a second little bow. Of course, the named Kit Kat girls get their bow.
Yeah.
Okay. Then 2 ladies. Okay.
I remember them getting in trouble for smiling.
Also,
Yeah, they were
why
smiling.
Do
He was like-
and they switch. Why do they switch positions?
Because it's cheeky, like in 2 ladies,
All right, yeah, okay.
right? Like,
Yeah, right?
That's what I thought, but I was like, all right.
Okay, so now we get Ernst, Max, and Kost get a bow together, which is an interesting group.
Okay, so that one, Max,
Yeah.
argued to be in our bow.
Yeah, he was
Because
not. He
felt
didn't
because he was
sing.
named. He felt because he was named, he should bow with us. And we were
Wow.
like,
But also, where
they were
else
like-
would he have bowed? I don't. Yeah.
exactly.
Like, okay, interesting. Oh, here you could really see that Schultz's gray spray painted on hair that makes it look like he has a bald patch. Okay, bow, bow, bow. Oh, is that Cliff?
Yeah.
Cliff gets a solo bow, Sally gets a solo bow, and then the MC gets the final bow.
The Red Sea parts.
Yes, for the MC. I was glad the MC got the final bow. I thought he desered it.
Oh yeah. Well, I
agree.
I have a question about the makeup on the face. Did that have to be reapplied? How
often was that reapplied?
So he would do the first one, like for Act 1, he would do his own makeup.
Yeah.
And then Act 2, me and one of the other girls would sit him down and redo it. Like, we would be like, wash your face.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you're really sweaty.
Yes,
you're really sweaty. Like, and then we would redo it. Because we always had to make him look more gaunt for that second act. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know how to do contour. So.
Right. you gotta contour it. So then let's get to the real important part. One sec here. Okay, everyone's bowing. Some people have started smiling. And wait. Yeah, it's okay. I'm trying to get a shot where
it's tough to get the exact shot where you get both.
Right, but it's like the swastika in the background, and they're all just pointing. It's like we know logically they're pointing to the pit, but they are just all pointing to a swastika.
Also, here the Nazi actually does look like he's hiling, like on the right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's way better than anything he did in the actual show to make you think he was a Nazi.
Yeah. Did anyone have any questions about this moment where you were like, should we maybe take... Okay, good. No one questioned the optics.
I feel like if I was in that show, I would have not only immediately clocked it, but like done a full heil. Like I would have like wanted...
that. Okay, so we need to do... Let's hear overall final thoughts. Joelle, what was it like? What would you like to say to the whole cast and yourself back then when you were in this show? What message do you have for yourself?
Dial it back. Dial it back. So much of it, like all the unhingedness was in the wrong places.
Sure.
like every sexual ad lib was like too much. We shouldn't have cast that girl as Sally. What's going on?
I think, and I know you said you have texted me, and now seeing the show, I think it's pretty clear. And let's get into it. Was this racism in the casting process?
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I very much believe it was.
Yeah,
I very much was like, this is racism at work. And I remember feeling this so vividly. Like, I knew instinctually, I was like, no. We were in the same room when we did the audition. Nobody stepped out. I heard her. And I was like, I saw it. And I was like, this is racism. Like, you knew who you wanted to cast. And I remember telling the head of the department this, too. And I was like, this is racism. And she looked at me and was like, yeah, probably. This is a white woman, by the way. She was my senior thesis. She was my senior thesis advisor. And she was like, yeah. And she was like, well, I wanted y'all to do Pippin so that you could be the leading player. I was trying to already arrange for something for you, but it didn't happen.
She was like, no, don't worry. I was working this out for you. I mean, that would have been a great role for you. She was like, either way, you're doing Fosse.
Oh yeah, no, that was always a thing. She was always like, you're gonna do Fosse, and then she was so mad when we didn't do the Pippin because she was like, but I was trying to get you in the Manson trio. Like, that was a thing for her.
Okay.
Because I was always, like, it was just something I knew how to do already because I had learned the choreo. And so, she was like, I remember this having to be a multiple, like, conversation, long thing because I was so pissed. I was like, this is racism.
That's so high school theater, too, to be like, let me, like, try to like fight this casting that has already happened and like obviously will not change. It's let me fight this. Like but
it was more of a question of whether I would do it. Like I was like, I'm going to quit. Like,
yeah. Were you like, were the other people in the cast on your side or were they on Sally's side?
I got phone calls when it came out, like at 11 p.m. The MC called me. The MC called me. Cliff called me.
Oh my
God, Cliff! And Fraulein Schneider all called me and were like, "We are so sorry." Because they were right outside and also heard it. Like they were right outside the door and they were like, "But we heard her sing and we heard you sing. You're very loud, so we heard it." And I was like, "Yeah."
Wow.
I know. That's
So you were like the people's
like,
choice. You were like the people's Sally.
You were the people's Sally. Yeah.
Yes. They were like, it should have been you. It was not a placating like. No, it was like they said it to the girl's face. They were like, I
would have given anything to see your version of Sally because I think it would have been a little Liza, a little something else, a little Joelle, like, oh God.
I would have played it psychotic because that's how you're supposed to play it. She's on the edge of a psychotic break the whole time.
The entire time.
And at the very least, it would have had a modicum of acting in it.
Sure. Right.
And we would have had the chairs. Like, I'm sorry, I would have been on a chair singing.
Right, you're like, I'm not giving up the chair. The chair is important. The chair is part of it. The parents are expecting the chair. No, I agree.
I do remember my extended family were weirded out by this show. But my parents ate it up. They were like, oh, we're so proud of our little prostitute. She was chomping. Like, my parents were so proud. Actually, my dad gave me notes after the first one.
Oh my God, that's so actor dad vibes. Wow.
Yeah, like, I got notes. And I was like, only our director is supposed to give notes. And he was like, yeah, but I saw it, so here's some notes.
That's iconic.
So, yeah, no, my parents were like, oh, she was so cute. She was so great. And all my extended family were like, she's in lingerie. And they were like, yeah, but she ate. Like,
I will say this particular week for watching the show was so perfect for me because at my high school right now, the director who's been there for 45 years just announced that she was retiring this year. And the high school newspaper, it was incredibly so well written. Whoever wrote the article, that kid's going places. But he wrote this 10,000 word goodbye essay as whole career retrospective for her name, Laura Rosberg, for her for her last show, which is Oliver. And when I heard that her last show was Oliver, and I had heard this a couple months, I was like, that's a weird one to go out on. But as I was reading this article, the department and no one holds back any secrets. What had happened was that at the beginning of the year, she went to the principal, who was a new principal, and said, I want to do Cabaret this year. And the principal said, no. And they'd done Cabaret a bunch of times at my high school. Similar to Packer, it's very liberal, city, high school, private high school kind of thing. But this was a new principal who maybe was not so theater friendly. But it was so funny reading this of there was such vitriol towards the principal is the reason the director is retiring and you're not giving she should be able to do whatever she wants. But it was this whole thing of
oh my God.
Everyone's like, I don't know what her problem was with Cabaret. Anti-Semitism's more relevant now than ever. So it was so perfect to then see this production.
A production. And
a
Joelle,
high school production.
Did the principal have any feedback about it? Or the principal was like, go ahead, go forth?
Oh no, that headmaster ate it up.
The headmaster! Okay, not even principal.
Oh yeah, no, he loved it. He was there.
Of course.
He was... The thing is that everybody was into it to an absurd degree because I think it made us edgy.
Yeah.
And I remember after we had announced it, I think 3 other Brooklyn private schools also decided they were going to do Cabaret.
That's so you broke the seal.
Yeah, and so we were just so everyone was absurdly into it, even though it was so inappropriate, and I don't think there was much oversight on what he was doing with the material. Maybe they, like, he had been like, oh, I'm gonna do Cabaret, and everyone just assumed he wasn't gonna be like what he did, but they were like, no, like he was like, no, we're committing to the bit, like, this is what we're doing.
It's full commitment. There was no, if you're gonna do Cabaret, you have to commit, and other than Sally, everyone did commit, so that was a good thing to see. Something, yeah. Joelle, this was such a treat. Do you have any last things to say about the production before I ask you to just say talk about yourself for a minute?
No, it was a fun time. It was probably the most fun I'd had in high school theater. And it was my senior show. Like, it was such a good way to go out, because I didn't do theater in college because I just didn't have time. And it was just it was like a good, like, I have a lot of fond memories of being silly, and having to break down the set afterwards, and like it having to be a thing. But yeah,
that's beautiful. And so yeah, thank you. Also, I know you have something to promote. So let's hear it. Ominous.
You're so annoying.
If you liked Cabaret, you'll love Joelle's book.
I have a book coming out called Their Vicious Games. Comes out July 25th, I believe. I say I believe because I've actually today seen about 3 different dates that it's supposed to come out. Good.
We love to hear that. I would say if anyone's listening to this podcast, you have to pre-order it legally, because to make up for the fact that Joelle didn't get Sally. This, I think, as long as you pre-order it, it'll make up for that.
It's a fun time. I don't know if you like horror films, you like camp. I mean, if you're listening to this, you like camp.
If you're listening to this, you enjoy camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it is, as I've read it, it's camp, it's fun, it's scary, it's cultural commentary, much like Cabaret, but not the same type of commentary, but definitely also commentary. Well, Joelle, thank you.
Thank you.
This has been Hell Week, and I'm gonna press stop recording, but
Welcome
don't leave.
to hell.